Superman is finally here. I have gone and seen it, so let's talk about it. So my most anticipated film of 2025, Superman, has now officially come out, and I have officially seen it. And this is one I've been very, very excited for. I'm a huge, huge Superman fan. And you guys all know I'm a huge Man of Steel fan. I love that. It's my favorite comic book movie of all time. I think it is the best comic book movie of time. And I do think it's the most underrated comic book movie of all time. I love that movie. I was very sad when I heard Henry Cavill wasn't come back as Superman, because I love him, right? I also love Superman and Lois. I think that TV show is best. And I do think the way they handled Superman there was the best iteration of Superman I have seen on the screen. Now, coming into here, James Gunn had a huge weight on his shoulders. This is the movie that kickstarts the DC back again. And everything rides on this. If this is a failure, it's game over for DC. It's another 10 years back behind Marvel again. So they needed to come out strong. I trust James Gunn because of Guardians of the Galaxy and all the work he's done. I trust him. So now that I've seen this movie, I actually really like this movie a lot. I really do. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best comic book movie of all time. No. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best DC movie of all time. No. But I'm going to say this is a very, very good movie to start off with. It really is. Now, some of my concerns, I was concerned about Krypto and how I would feel about that. The trailers made me think, okay, maybe there is hope. James Gunn nails it with Krypto. He nails it. Krypto doesn't steal the show. He's not in it all the time, but he's in there enough to make you go, ah, beautiful. And I think the way that he handled Krypto was brilliant because he didn't make Krypto feel like out of place or anything like that. So he felt natural, which is something that he needed to nail, and I thought he got that. Now, as for Superman itself, wow. Like, yes, this is the embodiment of Superman. I felt the hope. I felt that this was a aspiring Superman that you want to be. I felt like this got who Superman was. Now, I'm not saying that Zack Snyder didn't get that. I'm not saying that because we're not talking about that. So before anyone comes in and says, oh, you're paid to say this and stuff like that, just know that I'm a Man of Steel fan. So Snyder bots and that. I'm a Man of Steel fan, right? I love that. I'm not paid to say this is a great movie. I genuinely feel this. And I'm not saying to other people like, oh, you think this is the perfect Superman. No, I don't think this is the perfect Superman. I just feel like James Gunn knew what he was doing, and this is the embodiment of Superman. Because I felt uplifted watching this. I felt like everyone was looking to this. But what I loved, especially towards the end, is the contrast of Superman and how he is just as human as everyone else. And I know some people are going to have a problem with, there's a certain thing that happens in this movie revolving around his parents. Now, I know some people might not like that. I thought it worked really, really well, though. Because of the way that was handled and the Superman character himself. I think that worked for me, personally. Another thing that really worked for me, Lex Luthor. I freaking love this Lex Luthor. No, I don't, love Lex Luthor where I'm cheering him on. I hate the character. I hate Lex Luthor. You're meant to hate him. But I love how he's portrayed and written. I think this is a fantastic Lex Luthor. I really felt like this is how Lex should be towards Superman and how he views himself. Nicholas Hoult, brilliant casting. I was always on board with that casting. He shows you how good he truly is. I already knew Nicholas Hoult was fantastic. I always knew he was an actor that was superb. People who doubted him being Lex Luthor, this movie shows you that he is a brilliant Lex Luthor. He embodies what Lex is supposed to be. And he brings the stature of Lex Luthor. Like, you've got basically a god in front of you. You need someone who feels like they're not afraid of this god and that they're willing to go toe to toe and that they're calculated in that. Nicholas Hoult brought that out. I believed that this Lex Luthor was not scared of Superman. He was not scared to be face to face with him. He was calculated. Brilliant. Lex Luthor, this was a brilliant villain. Like, arguably one of the better villains written in all of DC within the movies and everything like that. He's up there. Just phenomenal. James Gunn nailed that part of this movie. Superman, Clark Kent, brilliant. David, look, you guys all know I'd love to have Henry Cavill come back, but I'm always going to be back in the corner of the next Superman because it's passing the torch on to the next generation, the next legacy, and that. David is Superman. He was fantastic as Clark Kent and Superman. And this really did feel like it was more of a Superman movie than a Clark Kent movie. You know, we got a little bit about Clark Kent, but it was mainly about Superman himself. And he was in the Superman mode most of the movie. So, I haven't got him fully as a Clark Kent yet because we haven't seen that iteration of it yet. But as Superman, I bought it. I loved him as Superman. I really did. I am looking forward to seeing him moving forward. Now, when it comes to Lois Lane, Rachel's fantastic. She's fantastic as Lois Lane. She brings who Lois Lane is meant to be. I also really like the chemistry and the characters themselves and the interaction and the relationship. I bought into it. Especially when you have that interview moment. You see it in the trailer. Look, that anyone that's married understands that. Like, that did feel like they were in a relationship going back and forth, stuff like that. I really loved it, and I thought James wrote that brilliantly, that interaction, and they acted it so well. I bought into the relationship. I believe that they are together, and I thought it was great. The supporting cast, look, this would probably be one of the criticisms I have for the supporting cast is there's a lot of new characters in here, and we don't get enough time with them to understand them a little bit more. And look, I'm glad that James Gunn didn't tell an origin story where he's, you know, from start to finish and that we have him as Superman already. He's been Superman for a while, which I think is the correct choice to do. We don't need to see another origin story. And that's one thing that I loved about Man of Steel as well. We didn't actually get a full origin story. We got clips of it that builds into the character of Superman, but that's what I really, really liked. We didn't need to see him as a kid grow up and stuff like that. We know the story. So I think that's a great choice that he made, but having Guy in here as well, Mr. Terrific, Hawk, woman as well, you know, they're great additions and it adds to the lore and the world itself and where we're going to go moving forward with the universe. But at the same time, I do feel like we maybe could have explored him a little bit more, but then again, it's a Superman movie and you don't want to take the shine away. So I feel like juggling that many characters in this first movie, I don't know if that was the greatest choice. Like, James managed it, but I do feel like it takes a bit away from what could have been even better movie with Superman. But that's just my opinion. I don't think it's like a huge flaw where it's like this brings it down like 10, points and stuff like that. It's just a little thing that I picked up where I'm sitting there like, I would like to know a little bit more about these characters and that. But then I'm like, wait a second, this is a Superman movie. This is not Justice League movie. This ain't like that. So it's supposed to be focused on Superman. So, and like being the first Superman movie, it kind of has to be about Superman. It can't be about where if you do a Superman 2, then you start introducing the new characters in the world and stuff we already established in that. But that's just what, James chose to do. And, whether or not you like it or not, that's one thing. But I don't think it's like a huge thing, but it worked. It worked to a degree. I still think it could have been better. Now, the runtime's 2 hours about, so I like that. There are some cameos in here as well. There's one that I absolutely loved and laughed at as well. You guys will know which one I'm talking about. It's hilarious, and I'm glad that James added that in there. Then there's one towards the end as well, which is obviously going to be hinting towards other things that are going to be coming and stuff like that, which was great to see as well. I'm excited for that. There is 2 post-credit scenes. The mid-credit scene is just like, you've already all seen it. I'm telling you now, you've already all seen it. It's just something, and it was cute. It just reflects on a relationship that happens throughout this movie. And then there's an end credit scene that you don't really need to stay for. It doesn't really tell you anything moving forward or anything. It's just a kind of like jokey thing that's there. That's a little bit funny. But overall, I think the tone was great. It is very fantasy-like. It is very comic book-like. It is basically a comic page brought to life. It is fantastical. It's got all these different things about creating a new dimension and stuff like that. New universes. It's fantastical. So if you are looking for a grounded, reality like The Dark Knight, or even to a degree of a Man of Steel, this is not that movie. It's very, very different. This is more a Guardians of the Galaxy fantasy like. Like, we are dealing with elements that are crazy. So just be prepared for that. It's funny. It's got, like, it's not too funny, but I could see why some people would find it, maybe it's a little bit too funny. So there is that. But I really liked it. I really liked the symbolism of Superman and the hope and everything. For me, it worked. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Had a lot of fun with it. And I think this is a brilliant, brilliant start for DC. And look, I was on board with James Gunn leading DC. And now, after seeing this movie, I am very confident that DC is on the right track. Look, it's going to get better. I do believe it's going to get better and better. I think this is a very, very, very solid start. And it's the start that DC needed. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys thought. Maybe you didn't like it. Maybe you did. I want to hear all your thoughts. Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button for me. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.